How's it going, everybody? Destauch here, and today we are going to be making a tier list for every Halo game. Very original, I know. But without further ado, let's get right into it. Now, I say that we're just going to go from left to right to keep things interesting, starting with Halo Reach. Halo Reach. It's pretty good. There's a lot of Reach fans that think it's like an S tier. I don't think it's that high, but it's definitely not a B tier. I would say as a Halo game, especially because of what it offered at launch, that being Firefight, a pretty decent campaign, and a pretty extensive multiplayer with a huge upgrade to Forge, I think the only way it could be fair is if we give it A. Now, there are things that I don't really like about it. Like, I feel like the campaign almost has kind of like a Call of Duty feel to it. I do like the individual characters, but I feel like the structure of the campaign kind of makes it so you never really get to know too much about Noble Team. But it's definitely still a fun time, especially those really big open missions such as New Alexandria. So yeah, definitely an A tier. Now, Halo 2. There's a lot of big Halo 2 fans, especially because it's kind of what ushered in Xbox Live, to be honest, but I wasn't really there for that. In terms of the story, it's probably the best in the series, but I don't really like the campaign missions that much. But, I mean, it's still Halo 2. I don't know. I don't really have nostalgia for it. We're gonna put that in A tier as well, just because what we're dealing with, we're still dealing with some like legendary games here. I don't think that we're gonna get to the B tier until a couple rows down. But all right, let's go to Halo 3. S tier. Yeah, I know it may be stereotypical, but Halo 3, objectively, is the best one. No, it's not objectively the best, but it's definitely my preference. It just expanded on so much with, like, adding the Forge mode. The campaign has some of the best Halo missions. I mean, really, they could have just sold the Ark and the Covenant on the disc, and I still would have loved it. Those two missions are my favorite in the whole series. And obviously just the memories of Halo 3. I mean, this was my first Halo game, and it's definitely always going to hold a special place in my heart. And it helped that it was a really damn good game, too. I mean, the multiplayer on this was great. The graphics were way ahead of its time. I mean, Halo 3 still looks good. But yeah, Halo 3 is just something else. I just took a little sip of water. I get cotton mouth when I'm talking about Halo 3. Definitely not going to get cotton mouth about Halo 5. Wait, is there only C on here? Oh my goodness. Man, there's only C. I guess whoever made this really, oh wait, oh my god. Leave it to me to screw up the tier list. There we go, back to normal. Honestly, you know, it's kind of fair that it ends at C, because in all honesty, Halo 5 isn't that bad. It just did a lot of things that I really didn't like. It kind of added a lot of enhanced mobility to the game that I feel like dated it more than anything. I mean, this was kind of the era of Titanfall and advanced movement. But really, what really did it in was the story mode, especially how much it hyped itself up with the advertising. I mean, I may not like Halo 5, but I think Halo 5's advertising was probably the best in the series, just with Hunt the Truth and all of those like augmented reality stuff they did. It was really creative. It's just a real pity that a lot of that stuff didn't come to fruition in the campaign. I really thought we'd get a mission where we'd maybe rescue Benjamin Giroux, the journalist from the Hunt the Truth podcast, but that never materialized into anything. But yeah, it deserves a C, I would say. It still had a really good multiplayer, even though I don't like the campaign. And even though the Forge mode was delayed by quite a bit, it's still not as delayed as Halo Infinite, I'll tell you that. So, Halo 5 is a C rank. Alright, now we're going to get into something a little different. Halo Wars 2. Halo Wars 2, actually, fun fact, is the only video game I've bought the special edition pre-ordered. I was really excited for this one, because I'm a big fan of Halo Wars 1, skill aside, but I thought that it delivered, but I'm going to give it a B, just because I feel like it's not as good as Halo Wars 1. I feel like they did an amazing job at emulating the gameplay of Halo Wars, even though they were a different developer. And while the story mode was pretty short, I still thought it was pretty impactful, and I feel like it really ushered in a new golden age for the Halo art style, because ever since Halo Wars 2, we have had a very good art style. Quality of game not considered in that statement. But yeah, Halo Wars 2, pretty good. Now, let's see. Spartan Assault. It was a mobile game. It was a pretty good mobile game, but it wasn't anything special. I'd probably have to put it in C, even though it did a lot of really cool things, especially for a mobile game. It's really just kind of a bullet hell shooter, and it's really good, but you can't really compare it to, like, Halo Wars. I think it might even be unfair to have it on this list. These little breaks, I'm taking our little drinks of water. But yeah, Spartan Assault, it was cool to see, like, different battles from different perspectives. And it kind of characterized Palmer a little bit, but it didn't do too much to impress me. But it's not bad, so I'll give it a C. Now, some say this one would probably be the best in the series. I'd say it's probably the best campaign. Maybe ODST might beat it out, but, I mean, it's a classic Halo Combat Evolved. I mean, we're talking about a game that revolutionized first-person shooters. There were other games, such as Half-Life and stuff like that, but in terms of, like, the modern gameplay loop of, like, recharging, like, shields and, like, regenerating health, Halo Combat Evolved was revolutionary in that aspect, and even though I played Halo 3 before it and Halo 2, I still felt like it played just as good as Halo 3, and that's pretty impressive for a game that came out like 3 years after Metal Gear Solid, which was very dated. I love Metal Gear Solid, but you can kind of see the huge jump between, like, the generation before Halo. It was a huge step forward, both graphically, gameplay-wise, and even story to an extent. I mean, they always say that you never really experience anything like seeing the Halo ring for the first time walking out of that drop pod, so Halo Combat Evolved definitely deserves S. Campaign is great. Multiplayer is good too. I mean, it was pretty basic, but it did set the groundwork for what would come later on, so I gotta say, Halo Combat Evolved is an S tier. Moving on, we have Halo 3 ODST. Now, this one's a little tricky, but I kind of know in my heart what it should be. And to be honest, it's going to be an A tier. I really want to elevate it to S rank because of the story mode. But when you're a Halo game and that's all you're offering, you can't really be an S tier. It had Firefight, and that was cool. Halo's first foray into the Horde mode, but, you know, no multiplayer being included and the game still being full price, I can't give it an S tier. Great single player though, introduced amazing characters and really characterized the ODSTs, especially when ODSTs were always the fan favorite in terms of, like, the UNSC Navy. So Halo 3 ODST is definitely an A. Really good campaign. I'd honestly say it's probably the second best after Halo Combat Evolved. But yeah, just no multiplayer and being full price. Of course, that's yesterday's news. I mean, we're just judging the game on its own merits now. But even with that, I still think that it's not necessarily an S tier, especially if we have to like kind of give it a different tier from, I mean, the really good ones like Halo 3 and Halo CE. But don't get me wrong, Halo 3 ODST is still a banger. Alright. Controversial one, Halo 4. I'm going to have to give this a B rank. A lot of people might crucify me for that, saying that the multiplayer is awful. But I thought that the multiplayer, even though it borrowed a lot of elements from Call of Duty, was still a pretty good time. Especially once they kind of ironed out like all the forge and all the balancing. And the story, I think, while probably not the best in the series, is something that made Halo a little bit more mature. It kind of characterized Master Chief a little bit more, which I know some people may not like, but I feel like it's kind of interesting to see the more human side of Master Chief. So I think Halo 4 deserves to be there, just because, I mean, it was a really good looking game for the time. The story was really good, the campaign was serviceable and probably had the best villain in all of Halo. And the multiplayer was still pretty good. Not as good as Halo Reach, but right below Halo Reach, I'd put Halo 4. Alright, and then the first never played. Didn't play Spartan Strike. Oh, I hope I didn't. Oh yeah, okay, so that's Spartan Assault, that's Spartan Strike. Never played this one. I'm sure it's probably a C tier as well, just because it's pretty similar to Halo Spartan Assault. So not much to say on that one. Now, Halo Wars. Alright, we're going to put that in A tier. This game really introduced me to the RTS genre and really kind of set the bar for console RTSs. I can't really think of another RTS that was on the Xbox 360, even since then, that has come close to just the fluidity and just cool factor of Halo Wars. I mean, being able to like launch ODST drop pods from orbit and, you know, doing scarab rushes. I'm not going to say that I was very good at it, but it was definitely a really fun time, and I feel like it added a lot of really cool lore to Halo. There was even that like campaign main menu where you could see the timeline of Halo and see all the events, so it did a good job at like building up the universe, and the Spirit of Fire is still probably my favorite ship in Halo. It's just so cool. But yeah, the campaign was great, and you know, the multiplayer was good too. It was really what you bought the game for, and I feel like the PvP was great on Halo Wars. Definitely very competitive, but it really gave you a high skill ceiling to really show how good you are at strategy games. Unfortunately, I was not that good. Okay. Now, I get to gloat a little bit. Halo Fireteam Raven. First of all, we're going to put it in C rank. Not because it's bad or anything, but it's definitely just not on the same level as even Halo Wars 2 or Halo 4. I actually played this at a Dave & Buster's and actually spent way more money on it than I probably should have, but, you know, it was a fun, like, point-and-click shooter. Nothing too special. It kind of built up more context for Halo Combat Evolved, because you got to see, like, Alpha Base, and you got to see, like, the different ODSTs that were allegedly in Halo 1, but, you know, were never seen. So, yeah, Fireteam Raven. Good time, but nothing really to really write home about. Alright, and last but not least is a game that actually isn't even on this list, but I'll just Photoshop it in. We're going to put Halo Infinite at... I gotta put it at C tier, to be honest. I really don't want to do that, because, you know, this is the current life cycle of Halo, but in the current state it's in, I can't put it up there with, like, even Halo Wars 2 and Halo 4. I feel like even Halo 4 was a more complete experience than Halo Infinite, and God, just talking about Halo Infinite is just making my mind go blank, because there's just so much to talk about with what's wrong with Halo Infinite right now. I mean, we're still technically in a Forge beta, and it's been well over a year since launch. And I don't want to turn this video into a rant, but I kind of just want to justify why I would give it a C rating. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to give it a C. I mean, it's about on par with Halo 5 right now, because with all the issues Halo 5 had, at least it got, like, infection relatively soon, at least compared to what we've experienced with Halo Infinite. It got Forge, like, a couple months after release, and to be honest, I never thought I'd say this, but I feel like the rec system might have been better than Halo Infinite's current system. Because at least in the rec system, you could earn every piece of armor just by playing. Halo Infinite, you gotta get out the wallet, and, you know, I'm not gonna do that. But the campaign was serviceable, and I feel like the enemies were really fun to fight, but that's the main highlight I can give to Halo Infinite was that it was fun to pick up and play, but just everything surrounding it just feels so underdeveloped. Even the campaign, just, it felt like the prologue to an epic story that we just haven't experienced yet. And God, even though I do love exploring Zeta Halo, the fact that it's mostly just one environment really doesn't make you feel like you're progressing that much. So yeah, I'm going to give Halo Infinite a C. So, that was my tier list of every Halo game from Halo Combat Evolved to Halo Infinite. This was a really fun video to make, going back to my old memories of all the other Halo games, and depending on how well this video does, I might do more videos like this. Anyways, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. What's your favorite Halo game, or what is your least favorite? I'd love to hear it, and as always, this was Destauch. I'll see you in the next one. Destauch out.